I really want to make more videos, but I'm just like super busy with school and everything. So thought I'd just do a nice simple video talking about my experience with binding and chest dysphoria and all that. Specifically why today I don't bind. In other news, before I really get started, had a fun thing that I learned today with my voice changing, which is the main noticeable thing I've had since starting T is my voice changing and stuff. I have another video showing some of my voice changing, and I did some showing my vocal range too. So I know some things right now. I know chest, there's different types of when you're singing, there's different parts of the voice. I know there's chest, head, and there's this falsetto or whistle tone thing. I'm not a vocalist, so I just have some knowledge of this stuff, and I know the difference when I sung in head or chest. So if I'm singing right now, this is in my chest voice, still very high in my chest voice, all the way to the bottom of my chest voice. And then I knew there was head, which since starting T, it is so hard to get any kind of decent sound. It sounds really bad. So I'll do it. I'm trying to sing in my head voice. This is the top and this is the bottom. The lowest I can go and stay in head. If I'm wrong about any of this and there's some actual vocalists who know better, you know better, but this is what I understand. And then the next thing I learned, I know, is there's this falsetto whistle tone, which I had never tried before. And then when I started T, that voice cracking you hear, it's essentially going to your falsetto. So when I try to hit the top, I've been practicing, so I didn't do it this time, but a lot of times when I try and go high in head, I'll just hop up high, I'll do it on purpose now. If I'm singing high, it'll suddenly really jump up when I try to get really high. So now, that's me accidentally, if I wanted to just make noise up there. Very unpleasant. That's essentially the range. Now, if a real vocalist can make that sound good, I can't. But yeah, I never did that before. It's very interesting. I'd love to say I love my low range. It's awesome. Anyway, to the whole point of this video, my experience with binding. So I thought as the best way to present this would just kind of go chronological with my whole experience with my chest and everything. I mean, the first thing is, how about when I was super little and the first time I got bras? What was my reaction to that? I try to think back and remember. I have no idea how old I was. For some reason, second grade is popping in my head, but I could be totally off with that. I remember getting them, and I remember specifically having the issue of always forgetting to put them on in the morning. Not it surprises me. There wasn't any it wasn't this strong. I'm not strongly remembering not wanting to wear them. I'm specifically remembering that I always forgot. I had this idea in my mind that wearing them was this is what I'm supposed to do. I didn't have any I liked it. I didn't have any I didn't like it. I just remembered this, I'm supposed to wear them. And I kept forgetting. And I specifically remember this is the time that I learned this thing that said that it takes 28 days to form a habit. And I kept telling myself, if I can remember it 28 days straight in a row, I'll stop forgetting. And that's literally all my early memories of first getting a bra. A later memory I have is I remember watching Lizzie McGuire, and there was an episode about her first getting that she wanted to get a bra before her parents were gonna let her get one. It seems weird, I don't know, but I remember that episode, and I remember she badly wanted to get her first bra, and it was the weirdest thing because it blew my mind. People like wearing bras, like to and want to. It just caught me off guard. It's like something you have to do. I just couldn't fathom it being something you want to do. But it was also interesting to me because I didn't at that stage think I hated it. But then it got strange because later on, you get older, you need a bigger size. And I was upset at the fact that I would have to get one with clips. At that age, the very young age I was when I first got them, they were just ones without clips that you just put on. They're very small and there's not really much to them. And I really didn't want one with clips. I think I settled with getting some that had clips in the front, that was for some reason better. And I remember really not liking them. At some point going forth, this is high school age, my sister started getting some sport bras. She was into running and stuff. And then I wanted some. I guess because they didn't have clips, I don't know. Or at least, I just remember I got some and they were, I think it was because they were flatter, but I just I can't say for sure. I don't exactly remember. I just remember getting them, and I came to this point that I only wanted to wear sports bras, nothing else. I had a few different, like, completely different brands and different ones entirely, and I sort of started to settle on which ones I liked the most. And eventually, I ended up finding a pair that was just like, I think it was like this high compression sports bra, and it was on the pricier end, like almost $50. I don't know what drew me to buy it the first time, but I did, and then that's like the only ones I wanted. I currently, of that exact brand and type, I have 8 of them now. I still have the ones I got in high school, and I had gotten a 4 later, and they're the only ones I wear. And it's a problem because the ones from high school are kind of looser, and I typically wear them less, or I'll do them on laundry days where I'm not out. And it's also bad because I can't find them anymore. So they're all I have, and I haven't gotten new ones in a few years, and sort of a mix of a problem. Keeping with my chronological thing, I should say that I got those sports bras probably about sophomore, junior high school was really when I hit. No other types of bras, just sports bras. I didn't actually try binding until college. This is early on in college. This is like 2015-ish. I remember this was after I learned about trans and had the idea that yes, I am, but I'm not telling anyone. I had a couple of like girl undershirt tank tops. There was like this green one, and then I had this pink one. I hated the pink one because there was like laces on it, but I needed to because I was trying to basically make chest binding. I tried with a belt, and that was really uncomfortable, not very flexible, which is why I switched to trying it with these tank tops. And they basically the tank tops that had like the bra portion in them, so there was like a part that would go on the underneath part, and I put that in the center and then folded them around and then threw over one of my black video game t-shirts, one of my Zelda shirts, and then looking the sides, like seeing how flat it was and stuff. And I remember liking it flat, but I remember having an issue because I was putting that thin part that's supposed to go underneath right on the middle, and that kind of hurt after a little while. And then I came across the problem that like I only own the 2. When it hurt, I only own the 2. I can't I need to wash them afterward, because on top of chest dysphoria, there's also like chest smell dysphoria. At least in my experience, like it smells feminine, that region, which is why why I have 8 sport bras and I only wear them once a day. I have to wash them because I can't stand the smell. So I pretty much gave up with binding at that point. I typically wore a majority of my black Zelda t-shirts. I have a large collection. And then I would also sometimes wear double shirts where, we wear a tank top, or not tank top, a t-shirt, and then have a button up over it, or stuff just to add layers. And there was sort of a problem where I really would only want to wear my black shirts. I have a few other colored shirts, obviously, and I started sticking to wearing those only on days that I don't go out, to kind of cycle through and wear other shirts so I don't wear out my nice ones. And I would really hate it. I specifically remember sitting in a chair with my laptop watching like a TV show or something, and the screen would get too dark where I see my reflection and I'm wearing like a green shirt or something you can just see. And I hate it, and I have to change the way I'm sitting and sit in a way that makes my back hurt more just so I don't have to see it. And that really sucks. And then we get to the next part where I did eventually buy a binder. So I think I mentioned in one of my other videos that I was working at a summer camp, and one of the funnest things about the summer camp was it had a uniform, understandably, and it was a light colored polo, which, like I said, I was wearing mostly black shirts or double shirts, and it was very uncomfortable. They also would allow undershirts, but they're supposed to be white, and there's also an issue of I get warm and it was hot out, and wearing an undershirt, like I was sweating in just a polo. And it was coupled with the fact that, too, I think I mentioned this before about my working at this camp, I was working in the girls' unit, and I needed to, be perceived as female, to not be... it was a really uncomfortable experience for me because I felt a little bit inappropriate being, living in the cabins with these basically female teenagers, and it felt pretty weird for me. My voice passed more then, and I was perceived as female because of wearing this light shirt, or perceived as some kind of non-binary. I think I can go into a video later. I spent a long time that people perceived me and thought I was non-binary, and I never specifically said that, and I just went with it. yeah, so that experience with wearing those polos, just being forced every day to not be able to wear something that hides it, really pushed me to say, I should try binding. I can get a white binder. It's not as warm as layers. It's warmer than just a sports bra, but it's definitely not as warm as layers. And I thought, now's the time, especially since at that point I found out about, was it G2B, GB2, those letters in that number in some kind of order. I forget it. I learned about them, and it's like, oh, great, an actual, like, real binder that's probably good. And I end up ordering one, and I get it, and I actually get it delivered to the camp. And on one of my breaks, I go into the bathroom to try it on. I was a little afraid of it. I do have a few experiences in my past with claustrophobia, and I was also afraid, like, I'm literally on my break in the bathroom in a stall trying on the binder. Like, if I get stuck and need help, like, before my break's over, my breaks was only like 40 minutes, and I think I used part of my break to do other things, and there was just a little bit of time left to try it, that would be pretty bad. So I would, like, put it partly on, put it partly off, and, like, till I felt comfortable, like, if I get I know I got a technique to get it on, I can get it on and off. And then I first put it on, and, so sort of expecting after I did that, put the shirt on, there'd be, like, people talk about this immediate relief, and it would feel great, but it felt awful because I don't like the word, but I'll make you understand, like, skin doesn't touch for me in the center, and wearing a binder, it did, and that felt very uncomfortable. Like, I'm lucky I have a small chest, and I don't have that. It doesn't touch in the middle for me. It's very small. And when I first put the binder on, that's what I would feel instantly, probably especially because it was hot then, and I could feel a little bit of, like, the skin starting to sweat. And that was extremely uncomfortable for me, which is pretty disappointing. Because I did like how, I put the polo on and I turned the side. It was pretty flat. It looked a little unnatural to me. And so I wasn't like 100% this looks great. And I was also sitting there thinking, like, I know that you're not supposed to wear binders for 8 hours max or something. And you're not supposed to wear them for that long your first time either. You're supposed to take breaks. And I'm just thinking, working at this camp, I can be stuck sometimes, hours constantly being, like, in charge and not really getting a break, and it just didn't seem like a good place to actually start consistently wearing it. So I just took it off, and I didn't try it again until I was back in school. After I was done working in the summer, I was back at school, and I wouldn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and it was get colder, and I didn't have to worry about being so hot all the time, because people complain binders suck in the summer. So then I get back, and I tried the binder again. I get a little more used to the feeling, and I come to like how I look, especially underneath my t-shirts. Then I'm like, wow, this looks cool. I can wear just a t-shirt and actually pass. Because if I wear just a t-shirt, this does not, my voice and that would not allow me to pass. And I came across something that I was afraid of, and I hadn't tried because I was afraid of it. I could not play clarinet while wearing the binder. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you might see that playing clarinet's a big part of my life. In fact, this camp I was talking about was a fine arts camp, and I was playing clarinet there as a staff member. So that was, like, pretty suck. I mean, like, I could play some, but I just did not have the air capacity. Like, I couldn't take in as much air, and it just becomes a problem when a lot of times I need to do things where I take a huge breath and want to go the entire huge phrase without breathing, and just, it affects your playing, and, like, I can't deal with that. And the other struggle was then, like, the next struggle was, I decided I'd wear it when I could, but just take it off to practice. So I had a schedule of, like, I practice in the morning, I go to all these, my classes were, this semester my classes are all grouped on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the same time, and then I have rehearsal afterward. Basically, I went with this routine of trying to wear the sports bras, I went with this routine of trying to wear the binder in specific places. I also came to the conclusion that I think I'm passing in some of my classes, or perhaps they all know and they're just not saying anything. But I think I'm beginning to pass, so I didn't really want to ever walk into these classes like huge chest you can see wearing an outfit that doesn't hide it. Eventually I came to one, like, sometimes I just, like, would be practicing in the morning and I wouldn't leave myself enough time to change, and it just became a hassle. And then I also started thinking that I think it was affecting my breathing overall, and I think wearing the binder all the time was affecting my lung capacity in general. There's this whole exercises of how to breathe, of, like, breathe in everything, breathe in as low as you can, hold it all down here, don't throw a hole in your throat, and all this stuff. And I used to do the exercise, like, I'm thinking I used to sit in the car and I would do those exercises of breathing as deep as I can, like, and I would just do those exercises, and I wasn't, because I was wearing the binder, and I felt like it was just ruining my breathing that I really need, since playing clarinet and a little bit of saxophone is a huge part of my life. So I just can't do the binder. I know I'm very lucky that I have a small chest and I can easily cover it up with clothes and stuff. Basically, I can't bind. It doesn't work for me. It's not helping. I do want top surgery. Like, not binding makes me want it even more. Like I said, I know I'm very lucky that I have a small chest and it's easy to cover up. I think after getting top, I can fix my posture. It's funny because I was having a conversation with my clarinet instructor about stuff, and posture was coming up, and he was talking about different things with posture, and then he was giving me some advice. I'm like, I'm gonna try that in the mirror, and I'm immediately thinking, I'm like, oh wait, that's why I have bad posture. I don't want that to be seen, and I just think, like, once I get top, I can work on my posture. That'd be nice. It's funny because the sports bras I talked about that I have now might not even be that good for me to be wearing, because I have marks here from them and here. And I never thought about it too much, but I went to check, and after a whole night of not wearing them, the marks don't go away. They might not go away. More of the reason to want to not have to wear them anymore. Another question about how they affect my breathing is consistently wearing them affect my breathing, and not wearing them might help. And there's kind of these interesting questions about that. But binding is just not feasible because instrument playing is a huge part of my life that, like, kind of trumps the need to deal with this dysphoria. Basically, my moral of this video is really just to tell the people, like, not to feel pressured to bind. There are reasons to not bind. I mean, I just shared mine. They might be pretty specific or heavy. If you don't bind for lesser reasons, maybe just for the whole you feel them more or that kind of thing, like, it's a reason and understandable thing not to want to do. And not to feel disappointed, really, when maybe, like, when I first got my binder and it didn't feel like the best thing in the world. Like, that just happens sometimes. It doesn't mean you're not trans or anything like that. Binding doesn't really help everybody. I just wanted to make a content that was someone talking about, basically me, a binary trans person, talking about how binding doesn't help me. It doesn't work for me. And my reasons as to why it doesn't, to kind of help, because I see a lot of people always talking about how binding's so great, and I feel like some people need to know that, like, in some circumstances, for some people, with the way their life is, it's not helpful. It's not, it can cause more problems than good, and it's okay to just not bind because of that. Uns queant lacis, resonare fibri, mira gestorum, famuli tuorum, sove